Alright, a bit late on this, but I wanted to go over Batman Arkham Shadow's recent update 1.2 as with the new features, challenge maps, and more. But before that, I want to thank MetaQuest for sponsoring a segment in this video. As I'm in the MetaQuest Creator Program, also an affiliate, if you think about purchasing a headset, I'll leave links down below for picking up a new MetaQuest 3 3S or Batman Arkham Shadow, including from November 29 to December 31st, 2024. My link gives you a bonus of $60 in Quest Cash to spend on whatever game you want on the Quest store. With that out of the way, it's been almost 2 months since Batman Arkham Shadow released. To me, it feels like the game just came out yesterday, getting pretty much universal critical acclaim from players and journalists, bundled for free with every new purchase of a Quest 3 3S, and receiving VR Game of the Year at the Game Awards hosted by the guy who's friends with Hideo Kojima. It's been absolutely massive for VR and showcasing what's possible with standalone games. As with being exclusive to Quest 3 3S, it's by far the most technically impressive single player game on the Quest store without resulting to something like Quest Games Optimizer or side quests along with Asgard's Wrath 2. Of course, it's worth mentioning Red Matter 2 exists, but the scope of both games are entirely different. Batman is a fast-paced thrilling action adventure game, while Red Matter 2 is a puzzle game. But if we're keeping it a buck, as of right now, even with the recent patch, the game is still pretty buggy in my experience. As with the full body inverse kinematics, it does improve immersion, making you feel like Batman, but when moving inside your play space, the jank starts to show. As with being in the menu home screen, if you constantly recenter yourself, I'll randomly end up being unable to interact with the main menu unless I quit the game. Some bugs are just simply funnier than others. This is what VR Game of the Year material looks like, but most people, including myself, got the game for free, so who am I to complain? Currently, I've completed about 2.5 entire playthroughs so far, and keep in mind this video will have spoilers, ranging from gameplay and characters you meet in the campaign. Staying on topic, Arkham Shadow Update version 1.2 is their 4th patch since release and first content patch of many, as Camouflage in a developer Q&A teased post-launch support planning to bring even more content in the coming months with more challenge maps and some additional story content, which I'm absolutely hyped for and huge considering it'll all be free to owners of the game. Meta's pretty much footing the whole bill. So far, we've gotten an update each month, and hopefully we end up getting some sort of DLC by the end of 2025. In update version 1.2, the first feature they've listed is a character viewer, where you can inspect the in-game character models of the people you meet inside the campaign, attached with a summary of the character and their background, details of their first appearance in DC Comics, and a voice tape. It's a pretty small feature, but I would have loved if they attached the in-game 3D top-down cinematics as well with this, as with various collectibles all accessible within the main menu. Next up are 2 new challenge maps for both the combat and predator modes. The 2 new maps for the combat mode include Arkham's Finest, which takes place where I think you unlock the ability to grapple and remove the cover from vents, and Stowaway Brawl, that takes place during the last chapter of the game when boarding this ship chasing down the Rat King. The combat challenge mode is a highlight of mine, offers great replayability, and you unlock the brawl fighting stages by playing the campaign. The combat in Batman does take a bit of getting used to. I saw a few people displeased with it online, but once you get the hang of it, it's seamless, and not getting hit once is extremely satisfying, as with racking up a multiplier as you chase high scores and beat your own on the leaderboard. Camouflage absolutely nailed translating the feel of combat of the flat screen Arkham games to virtual reality. It's also a great workout, just make sure you have enough play space. The last combat challenge, specifically Stowaway Brawl, is extremely intense, and if you play games like Les Mills Body Combat and Thrill of the Fight 2, it's a great warm-up. The other 2 new maps for the Predator Challenges mode include the Localized, taking place when you visit the Arkham Garden area, and Rumble on Deck, taking place after you complete Stowaway Brawl. For me personally, I couldn't ever get into these stealth sections of the game as with the Predator Challenges. My overall gripe with the game is that I think the level design is pretty limiting for what the player can do and explore. As with being made for standalone, it's pretty limited in what it can achieve. When the game starts to pick up pace and you unlock new abilities, the game is already over. Quest is starving for a good stealth game, and when I play Batman, I'm always just looking forward to the combat. The last major update, part of the patch notes, depending on who you ask, is localized voice tracks for French, German, Italian, European Spanish, Latin American Spanish, Japanese, and Korean. The game already has text translation, but this localizes the entire voice lines dialogue within the game, increasing accessibility, which is great for more audiences, and downloading the Español Latin America pack is about 1.4 gigabytes in size. I gave it a try and it's actually pretty good. I couldn't tell you about the other language options, but when I have extra time, I would absolutely love to replay the campaign from start to end in Spanish.
Haciendo. Somos mejor que esto. ¿Acaso toda la ciudad perdió la cabeza?
Other fixes and additions inside the patch notes include addition of various sound effects, patches regarding certain sequences not happening, as with various other fixes. I'll leave a link to the entire patch notes in the description if you want to give it a read. Overall, post-launch support from Camouflage has been great, but in my experience, compared to games like Metro Awakening from Vertigo Games that come out in a similar time frame, it's still a bit rough around the edges. From a production standpoint, it's undeniably one of my favorite games of all time. Batman Arkham Shadow not only met my expectations, but set the standard for VR standalone gaming. The amount of interest from non-VR people interested in a MetaQuest headset has been huge. Right now, Batman sits at 4.7 stars with over 3,000 ratings. If we compare it to Asgard's Wrath 2 that came out 2 years ago that got review bombed at launch, as it's still targeted Quest 2 hardware and my personal game of the year for 2023, it sits at 4.2 stars with over 5,000 ratings. My biggest gripe with Asgard's Wrath 2 is just the amount of unnecessary bloat. Both Camouflage and Sanzaru Games, as first-party studios acquired by Meta, have absolutely been nailing it. Now I wonder going forward what it means for Meta, as once you complete the game, you're pretty much done with it, and games like Gorilla Tag, I Am Cat, and Beat Saber have higher retention and sit at the top selling charts, as with the revenue report of Gorilla Tag making over $100 million in just purely cosmetics, which is insane, and over time that will shift the gaming industry, at least in VR, as I'm sure Batman Arkham Shadow won't ever recoup costs, but it helps improve the brand. What I'm interested to see is what road Camouflage takes in adding additional story content, as when you finish the campaign, the game ends in a major cliffhanger. It's sort of a major plot twist, but you start understanding the plot more and more as you begin progressing through the campaign, as there's a section in which you briefly meet the Joker across in the other prison cell. The Rat King is good and all, but I think most people just want the Joker, Bane, Penguin, Catwoman. Like, there's so many routes in which they could take, and if a sequel is in the works, it will be even larger than this release. Lastly, I did check for performance and graphic optimization. No changes at all in my end, unless you toggle on the dynamic resolution scaler within comfort options. I aim for this to be a short video. Let me know your thoughts down below of Batman Arkham Shadow's update 1.2 and your general overall consensus of the game. Again, thanks to Meta for sponsoring a segment in this video. Leave a like or dislike, subscribe for similar VR content and ramblings from me. Until the next video, see ya.